It's now time to talk some Cuse football, both from the spring game last Friday. I do believe right now I have a picture of Justin Lamson from the spring game over my shoulder. So he is watching us right now as we bring on Adam Terry. He was over on TK99 on Friday night. Adam, welcome in. I've got Justin Lamson looking at me right now. I don't know if that influences your thoughts on the spring game, but his picture is right behind me, so I don't know if that does anything for you right now.
Well, hopefully we'll see a lot more Garrett Schrader during the season, but that not a knock on his performance. I think Justin Lamson came in and played extremely well, and Carlos Del Rio Wilson, has some things to work on during the offseason. So overall, you come away from that game and you say the biggest thing, no one got hurt that we could see. There might be some bumps and scrapes and bruises, but for the most part, I think the biggest thing coming out of that game was that came out unscathed. And did we get to see a lot? No, I don't think we really got to see too much of what was going on. But good to see them back out. Good to see Dino with the new staff under his belt, really having the opportunity to get some juices flowing in front of the crowd. So it was a good time.
Yeah, that was the main thing I was going to ask. Obviously, they didn't really show a lot on offense. The defense had no linebackers left, so they weren't really playing the normal stuff. So, what, if anything, did you learn about the team, Adam? Was it an event for that, or was it just you're keeping your eyes on individual guys to see how they moved out there? Or what did you take away from an event like that?
Well, I think what you saw is you got to see a little bit of the depth chart. That was the biggest thing last year that Syracuse couldn't overcome was depth in position. So you started to get to see some guys in the offensive line, the secondary that got decimated by the portal. So those were the things that I came away with, and you're starting to see some depth at the wide receiver position, which we didn't have last year. Isaiah Jones coming off that shoulder injury surgery, Donovan Brown coming in and playing pretty well. Kendall Long. So those were the three guys that really popped out to me. You still have your older guys in there, but those are three guys that you come away with and you say, okay, we've made some progress here. We're not going to have to just rely on Oronde Gadsden to catch some, catch 10 balls, 15 balls a game. So that's what I came away with on offense. And then defensively, what did show up, though, is the depletion at the linebacker position. So we're talking all about the positives of depth in different areas, but the one that didn't really have that much depth was going to be that linebacker position. And, they were able to get out of that game unscathed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Michael Jones is gone from that group now. We'll get into if maybe we'll hear his name called late in the draft on Saturday or what his NFL future is. But you still got Marlowe Wax, Steph Thompson coming back from the injuries. It's something you feel okay about in the fall. But you said it, Adam, it's not a lot of depth at that spot right now. So it's going to be really interesting to see if that group, which has been a strength here for so long, can kind of maintain that position on the defense next year.
I think they will. I mean, that's where the leadership is coming from. And a kid like Marlowe Wax taking over that position, from Michael Jones and having the opportunity to really put his stamp on that defense. Really excited about that. He's one of those guys that has been unsung for quite a while. And then we also get Steph Thompson back. So that'll be a strength once everybody's back. But the depth over there is just the question.
Adam Terry's with us. We're talking a little spring game from Friday night. We'll get into the draft this week here in a second. Adam, take this with however you want. I don't know if Paulie counted everything on Friday, but Paulie's stat to me this morning is that the kickers as a whole were 4 for 9 on field goals, which was not exceedingly encouraging. Where are we at? We haven't talked about this in years now because of Andre Schmidt. Where are we at in the world of special teams and kicking in the post-Andre Schmidt era?
Well, you saw a great lay by Dennenberg, and, you saw the ability to kick, and now he just has to kind of hone that in. Andre Schmidt, we knew he was going to be good anywhere from 42 or less. We felt very confident about that over the past couple of years, but now we have a little bit of a transition, and that's where Bob Liguszewski will have to earn his money over the summer and during fall camp. So I think you've got a live leg back there, which is great to see. He's got a good range, but you got to put him in between the uprights, not on the outside of them.
I know this, Adam. I don't know about you. It was really nice not really having to think about that a lot for the last 5 years, wasn't it?
No, I mean, it was you always wanted a little bit more, but there's only a few Justin Tuckers out there that can really have the consistency in the leg and create that total package.
Adam, let's get into the draft here a little bit. It feels like I'd see really no way this isn't the case, that Matthew Bergeron's not the first Cuse name that we hear coming off. He is looking maybe mid to late second round, or maybe slips early third round coming up on Friday night. What are you seeing about Bergeron going through this draft process? It sounds like he's a guy that's pretty reasonably well liked across the league right now.
Yeah, I think he's a Swiss Army knife at that position. You know, he can play from left tackle. You know, I think in a pinch he's a smart enough guy that he can you know, go to center, but I really doubt they ever put him there. So he's that guy that, and I always liken him to a guy like Justin Pugh. You know, he could play left tackle if you needed him in the league. He can play right tackle. He can play guard. Really, it's just going to be whatever team drafts him that has a need. If they're trying to fill a void at a position, they might try to pigeonhole him into a certain position, but if he goes in that second, somebody has a need, they're going to try to plug him in right away. And I like his opportunity. He's a very athletic guy. He's developed, 15, 20 pounds over the last couple of years. You know, I know you had Jim Nagy on there. You're welcome, by the way. And
well, thank you as always for that.
And we had him on, but I think everybody just thinks so highly of him, character-wise, as a player. What they're going to get the first day of camp. I think that it's got to be an exciting time. Once you drive up 87, cross that border, and head up to Montreal and have a good time up at his draft party, because he is going to be a guy that beauty is going to be in the eye of the beholder. And does he go early in the second? Could. If there's a run on tackles, that's kind of where he stands. But also, too, don't be surprised if you see him in the third round. So I don't see him past the third, but, those were my conversations with scouts. That was my conversation with the guys that were down at the Senior Bowl. And everybody just speaks in very, very highly of him as a player. Yeah,
we had your guy Nagy on last week. Adam is our Senior Bowl hookup. He's our connection into the Senior Bowl. Always good to talk with Jim, because, he sees all of those guys going through every year, and he spoke very highly of what Bergeron was able to do in Mobile, and it doesn't seem like he's really set a foot wrong in this process. And you said it'll be having his draft party up in Canada. We had Matt on, I don't know, a month ago, whenever it was. And he said his mom Annie's in charge of that, so she'll be doing it up nice up there, I'm sure. Let's go in order, at least the order I think Syracuse guys are going to get picked in. Garrett Williams is probably next. Adam, I don't know if you agree with that. Where do you feel a guy like Garrett is? He's coming off the ACL. Like, we know what he can do. Are teams worried about that stuff anymore? Like, those surgeries, I don't want to say they're routine, but they're as reasonably routine as a serious surgery can be these days.
Yeah, I think that teams are not as concerned with ACLs, ligament-type damages. More so, they become concerned with injuries of, like, meniscus and cartilage and things that you're going to see bone on bone, some inflammation. And from all of what I know, Garrett doesn't have any of that. So straight ACL, that is now put him on a clock for anywhere from 7 to 9 months to get him back out on the field. I know he's really pushing forward from our conversations when we had him in the booth, and for him right now, it's just mind what he can do. Take care of your controllable, take care of the knee, just get prepared. And people know. Right, we didn't air the segment that we talked with Jim, but when we were talking about the potential of a guy like Garrett going to the Senior Bowl, graduating at the end of his junior year and being able to go down there, he was like, yeah, he's the real deal. The kid can play. It's an unfortunate circumstance that he went down with the knee, but he could have gone higher if he had been out there the rest of the season. So you have a good barometer on what he can do as far as a player, and now it's just does he get devalued a little bit because of the ACL? Yeah, not far. I don't see rounds. I see picks more than just rounds. So it's good. Great kid. Had him on the air. I remember the first time I ever saw him do an interview. I was like, wow, he's got something. There's some moxie behind that. We saw that come out when we had him on air.
Yeah, I always enjoyed talking to Garrett over the years, consistent with what he does, and you can always tell he's very driven toward the goal, and he'll get to realize that coming up later this week. Adam Terry is with us, and we talk about Garrett, like it's the ACL, and you know what he's going through. Like that's a very defined path for guys right now. Sean Tucker's on a very different path. He has had a very peculiar last couple months. He was medically disqualified, or whatever you want to call it, from going to the combine. There's reports out within the last week he had some kind of heart thing come up, but then got cleared. He just did his own pro day literally today and bench pressed a whole lot of weight over at campus at Manly today. Well, what do you make of Sean's situation? I mean, he was a great player here at Syracuse, but I no longer have any clue where he might land in this draft.
The tape doesn't lie. So when you pop the tape on, you can see what he's capable of. I think there was a regression this past year, but also why? That's the question everybody has asked me when I talk to individuals and scouts, and they're always saying, well, why? And I was like, hey, I'm around them. I fly on the team plane with those guys, but I have zero clue. So, hopefully he's got everything back in line and he's able to, show what he can do. I think we were talking about a guy like Sean Tucker, and one of the guys that really pops out is a guy like Damian Pierce, who's out at Houston. That bruiser. He's going to hit it down. He's a one-cut guy. He's going to come down hard. He's going to smack you. And that was the 2022 version, 2022 version of Sean. 2021, I should say, not this past year, the year prior. So, hopefully he can get it all back in a row and his health is in order. But I do know people love what he's capable of doing. This year he showed he can start to catch the ball out of the backfield. Still needs to work on that. And then pass protection is going to be the one that every GM, scout, offensive coordinator is really going to hone in on, because they don't want to take a guy that can change a game, take him off the field, and put somebody in to do pass protection. So we all know he's capable of doing it. Now it's going to be revved up a little bit to play that position.
Yeah, best guess he'll come off the board sometime on Saturday. That would be rounds 4 through 7. You think we hear Michael Jones' name called late, Adam? Or
I'd love to.
Yeah, I mean, we all love the guy.
I would just love for that. I mean, he's earned it. But it's also, too, this is kind of I did a Giants podcast and with Lance Meadows, and he was asking a question. I always try to bring it back to people that they know. I just remember a guy like Jameel McClain. So this is 2006, 2000, somewhere in there.
Yeah, right around there.
He had the opportunity to get drafted, and people passed on him. Well, he got more money coming out as a priority free agent than he would have if he got drafted, because people understood what he was capable of doing. They could put him as a rush if they needed to. They could put him as a linebacker. And then he went down to Baltimore, had a great couple of years, played special teams, similar to like a Zaire Franklin. And then Jameel jackpotted and went up to the Giants. I just feel as though a guy like Michael can play in that hybrid type scheme and have the versatility to play in a lot of positions across the field. But his initial start is going to be on that special teams.
Yeah, I mean, heck, we've talked about it for years now. Like I don't know, idolized might be a strong word, but he was very cognizant of the path that Zaire Franklin took to the league. So we'll see if Michael can do that. And comparing him to Jamil, I mean, they're slightly different guys, but they're both great personalities, right, Adam? That's gotta. It doesn't make the roster, but if you're borderline, it's got to help that you're in there and you're doing everything of the asked, and you're a good locker room guy and all that stuff.
Yeah, if you're a leader, you're a great locker room guy. That pay it goes a long way, especially in the NFL where there's guys that are right on the cusp and they're going into a meeting and they're saying, "Hey, how does this guy fit into our role? Is he a guy that on Saturday night is going to go out with 10 guys, or is he going to go out and be in his book and making sure that he's on top of his game plan, even if it's special teams?" To make that one play. And I think when you look at a guy like Michael Jones, he could be that 6th, 7th round guy, but, or he's that guy that is in his book and comes on as a free agent and has the opportunity to make that one play. And make that one play could, be a career. We've seen that in Syracuse players as well.
Yeah, and then heck, we saw what happened with Zaire this year, and he's top 2 in the league in tackles. It's amazing how that stuff can happen. All right, Adam, great stuff. Good to catch up, and I'm sure we'll do it again as we get closer to football season. Okay.
All right, man. Good talking with you.
That is Adam Terry. Yes, he is the guy also that introduced the show to Jim Nagy. So we do always thank Adam.